Hey, everybody, and especially those who were not able to join us in our Stamp Club meeting today. Since we are going to be posting this out on YouTube, my name is Laurie Meyer, and I have a blog and a website, stampedgreetings.com. Hope you can find some inspiration there. In just a second, I'm going to switch the camera over so you'll see the project that we're going to make. But I wanted to let you know that you have joined a Stamp Club meeting. People from different parts of North Carolina and also Texas are on with us. And you might hear some people talking with questions, so do not be alarmed. It is those folks who are attending. So I'm going to flip over and we're going to make a really fun fold that has a belly band on the front and some cool things going on inside. And I'm going to show you the card, and then we are going to make this together. So this is the belly band, obviously, the part that is going to come off. And I do want to mention that the design that I'm sharing, I saw for the first time at an online stamping retreat. And it was probably a good year and a half ago. Kylie Bertucci, who is a demonstrator in Australia, is the one who shared the design that I'm going to be showing you, not with the papers and the stamp set, but the actual way the card is constructed. And it is really, really fabulous. It's really fun. So I'm going to take the belly band off, and the belly band is going on both sides. So it is going to be used to keep the card kind of together. And then when I open it up, what happens is this is a pop out. So if I stand it up, you can see it pops out, and it's meant to have the sentiment go as sort of a bridge across two of the areas. And I know you can't see it on camera, but it does stand up, and it is super fun, super cool. And I really, really, really like it with the different designer series paper pieces that I have. I'm going to recreate this with one little exception, and it's going to be the way that I'm going to stamp this sentiment on the card that I'm going to make. And then you're going to have a choice. You can either do it this way, or you can do it the way that I'm going to try this time. But let's get into the pieces. I'm purposely going to leave the example in two parts because I'll come back to it as we are making the card. And I put all my parts and pieces into a box. I pretended to get organized. We will see if my pretend organization has paid off or not as we go through, because usually there's a piece or two that sort of gets misplaced on this desk, and I would bet that you guys fall into that same trap. So I am just moving some of my pieces kind of out of the way until I need them. And we're going to try and do this in an orderly fashion. All right. I'm going to start with a piece of, this is shaded spruce. It is one of my absolute favorite greens when it comes to Christmas. I love it. And it is also one of the colors that is featured in the designer series paper that I'm going to use. The paper that I'm using is called Elegant Pine Snowflakes. It is new. You can see from the scraps that I have in here that I've been using it quite a bit. In fact, yesterday on another call, I used it to make this card, which is super fun, super easy, and it includes a lot of the patterns from that designer series paper. But today I'm going to use the shaded spruce cardstock, and we are going to be using some of that designer series paper, but we'll get to that in just a minute. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make the card base that is this. You can see that when you're done, it's going to be folded, so it will be a W until we start adding the center. To do that, you're going to start with a standard piece of an A2 card base, which means that it measures 8.5 wide, 5.5 high. Regular old piece of A2 cardstock cut in half on the 11-inch side. There are 3 score lines. So what we're doing is we're scoring it in half, and then each of the halves we're scoring in half because we want to have 4 pieces that are the same size. Okay? In order to do that, the 3 scores that you are going to put on your piece are going to be at the 2 1/8 inch mark, 4 1/4, and 6 3/8. So obviously the 4 1/4 is right in the middle of 8.5. That's where we normally score if we're using card to do a standard A2 card base. And then the 2 1/8 is halfway between 4 1/4 and the end. Same thing with 6 3/8. So you just want to score again, 2 1/8, 4 1/4, 6 3/8. And then what we're going to do is, I always like to fold into the bump. So where the score line has the bump coming up, that is the side that I'm going to fold into. I'm going to fold at the second score line first. So I'm literally going to fold this card in half, and I'm going to give it a really good burnish. And then the other 2 score lines, this is the 2 1/8, I'm folding it the other way. So I'm folding this one toward me, and I'm going to just turn that kind of upside down so I can give that a good score. And really, really, really do a nice job on scoring that. And then you can flip your card over, and you've got one more, and you're going to fold that toward you and give that a good score as well. So what you're going to end up with is your card base is going to look a little different to begin with. When you score it, you're going to end up with a W, and that's what you want. And if you think about it, when we put things together, we're going to attach paper, and I call it the bridge that goes over, and it's in this orientation, right? Because if I pull out the other card, when I open this up, see how that back goes backwards. So I'm going to add paper and design this, but this is the beginning point. This is where we're going to start. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to decorate the front and the inside of this card. So let's think about this. And I'm going to do the front first. I know that sounds kind of odd, but I'm going to. So I'm going to fold this in half. It does not matter right now which side you pick. Just pick one, and it will become the front of your card, whatever one you want it to be. For the front of your card, use either cardstock or designer series paper. And what I chose to do, and I'm purposely showing you, let me turn that off so it's not quite as bright. I'm using 2 different patterns that are coming out of the designer series paper collection that I showed you. Showed 2 different patterns from Elegant Pine Snowflakes. And I wanted to make sure that they looked nice together because you will see them together in the middle. You see both patterns here. For the front, we are going to put 2 different pieces of the same piece, same design right on the front. And you're going to see it's really, really important since this piece is going to fold. It's not going to be flat in the front, that we don't put one piece. We're going to actually put 2. So for this designer series paper, I started with a piece that is 5 3/8 inch high, and it started as 4 inches wide. And then I cut it so that each piece is 2 inches wide. And what I want to do, because I'm really picky about this and maybe overly picky, I'm just paying attention that I have these placed in the right order because you'll see that if I push these back together, there's the continuous pattern. And then I just cut it in half. I think it looks really nice if you can intentionally have the pattern flow across the front. And we're going to do that on the inside as well. So the pattern will flow.
Lori, can I ask a question?
Yeah,
What is the measurement of the DSP going down? 5 inches?
5 3/8.
5 3/8.
And initially it's 4, and then cut it in half at 2. So you're going to end up with 2 pieces. Each of those is going to measure 2 inches wide by
Got it.
5 3/8 inch high.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you're absolutely. So what I'm going to do is I literally am just going to adhere these two to the front. And what's kind of cool, and you will see as you make these cards, you can come up with different combinations. You can use cardstock on this. I chose not to because it does give a little more bulk to the card. And especially when we put the belly band on, the card
Yeah.
is going to be a little thick. So I like designer series paper on this. It feels like a cheat in a way. It has a design already, but hey, why not? So I'm putting that right in the middle. And because I did the burnishing on my score line, I can really see where the middle of that side is. So I'm just putting that right on there. And then I'm going to do the other. I have seen this design done without the belly band. So if you don't want to do the belly band, you're good. And you can decorate your front and make it a very, very pretty card as well. When you put the second piece on, pay attention to where you're putting it, but also make sure that visually it looks like you've got it pretty lined up if you've got a continuous pattern that you want to show. All right, so that's the front. That's all I'm going to do to the front. You are welcome to do whatever you would like. You can zhuzh it up. And if you choose not to do the belly band, the one caution I would give you, don't put decoration over both sides. Again, this is going to fold. So if you're going to design something on the front, maybe do 2 halves and it will still look beautiful. All right, we are now going to tackle the inside. So this may sound odd, but you just did the front. When you open your card, just make sure you know that this is the orientation. It's going to be flowing from top to bottom because this is the front of the card. So let's talk about what we're going to put on the inside. This is a piece of designer series paper that started. It's the same height as what is on the front. It is 5 3/8. So 5 3/8 high, and it started as 8 inches wide. The reason is, and I'm not trying to insult your intelligence, we have twice as much of the area to design as we did on the front, and we cut that to 4 and then cut that in half, so we had 2 pieces. Now we need 4 pieces. So again, 8 inches wide, 5 3/8 inch high, and then cut into 4 2-inch wide strips. And if you're like me, I'm purposely keeping these in order because I want to make sure when I add them that the order of the design is going to show on the card. And we're going to end up putting each of those on one of the sort of panels, if you want to think of them as panels on the inside. Now, when I do something like this, I prefer to adhere either of the 2 inside pieces first and then line up going from the middle out. If
Laura,
you want to do it any other way, you go right ahead.
Laura,
And yeah, The measurement for this piece is 8 inches wide
Uh-huh.
by 5 3/8 inch high.
Okay.
And then you're going to cut it into 4 pieces that are 2 inches wide.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start with number 2, and I'm going to put that on the second panel. And it's exactly the same. We are just adhering these pieces down. The only thing that I'm really paying attention to this time is I know the order of the pieces to attach because I want that pattern to go all the way to the edge. So I'm just going to put that right in the middle. And I purposely cut the paper to 5 3/8 so that the same amount of shaded spruce would show top, bottom, and the sides. The next one I'm going to do, and this is all what you want to do, I'm going to do the third one, the other one that is in the middle. Again, I like to align going center out. It seems to work better for me, and it may or may not for you. You do you. And when I do this, I tend to move my piece so I can see where I'm lining things up. And again, you do how you want to. You may want to literally stand up and look over the paper so you can get it aligned pretty well. So I'm looking both at the spacing I have, but I'm honestly looking more at if I'm lining the design up. And now I know I have my 2 outside pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and add those on as well. This is a really cool card for any occasion. And it is a great way to use up designer series paper. And we all probably have extra that we can use. You also don't need to have the same pattern all the way on the inside. Maybe you could have 2 pieces that align in the middle and then have a different pattern on the sides. It's totally up to you. So I've got one more piece that I'm adding, and you can see I'm intentionally making sure that that pattern goes all the way across. And so far, the designer series paper is really doing the job for us. We're not having to add an awful lot, which I like, especially this time of year when we are making holiday cards. All right, so I'm adding that last piece. And again, checking, making sure that it's aligned as best as it can be and that the design is also flowing. Okay, so there's my center. I know I keep turning that light off and on. When I turn it on, it's for me a little bit more because I can see a little bit better what I'm doing. And then when I turn it off, you can see the pattern. So far we've created the card base, we've scored, we've burnished, we've added designer series paper to the front, we've added designer series paper to the inside. So the next thing that we're going to work on is we're going to add, I call it a bridge. It's this piece that goes in the middle. And what that does is it's kind of interesting because it stops the card from opening completely because it's attached. And it also helps the card to stand up. It's really kind of cool. This piece is made with a couple of pieces of paper. Let me move this out of the way for just a minute. And the first one that I'm going to use is another piece of shaded spruce. It's going to be in the back, and that measures 5.5 by 1.5. And you can really make these as long as you want them to be. I suggest at least 5.5 because it gives you some good depth with the fold, and it also brings the bridge about halfway between the outer panels. But if you want it wider, make it wider. If you want it thinner, make it thinner. I wanted to make it not super wide because I really like the pattern in the paper and I wanted to make sure that that was visible. So we're starting with 5.5 by 1.5. And then you're going to see that I did something a little different, and I will talk about this in a minute. The second piece that's going to go on this bridge is a piece of designer series paper. And for mine, I decided I wanted to use the same pattern of designer series paper as I had on the front because I wanted to bring that through. The designer series paper piece measures 5.25 by 1.25. So 5.25 by 1.25. Now, I'm sure you've already noticed because it's super, super, super obvious. On the example card, I put the sentiment on another piece of cardstock, on a piece of white, and I'll give you that measurement in just a minute. On the one that I'm going to do, I decided to stamp the sentiment onto the designer series paper. You do whichever one you want. If you're doing the one that has the white paper, let me give you the measurement for that. Just give me 1 second here. It is 4.5 inches long by 7/8 of an inch high. But either way, you can either put another piece of cardstock on top or you can use your designer series paper. So what we're going to do is, regardless, you're either going to have 2 layers or 3 layers. I'm going to use 2, and I'm going to simply adhere, in my case, the stamped DSP on top of the cardstock. And just put that straight on. The one thing I will caution you on is when you are thinking about adding elements to the inside of these cards, they really need to be as flat as possible because you want the card to lie flat when it's closed and you don't want a lot of bulk. If you do use the belly band, you're going to have some bulk you're going to be dealing with, so you don't need more bulk on the inside. All right, so there I have just adhered that piece to the cardstock. Now, we are going to score this piece in half. And we're going to score it in half, including the cardstock. So we're scoring in half, and we've got a total of 5.5. So 5.5 divided by 2 is 2 3/4. So if you're doing 2 layers or if you're doing 3 layers, you're going to put that into a scoring board or into your trimmer. And if you've got 5.5 in total, you're going to take your bone folder and you are going to score it at 2 3/4. This is going to allow us to place this piece inside the card, and it will still allow the card to lie flat. All right, so I scored that right down the middle. And then I'm going to go ahead and burnish this. I'm going to fold it, and I am going to burnish. If you've put a piece of cardstock in there, it will be a little bit more challenging to get it to fold in half, but it will fold in half. So I want that to fold right in half. And after we have this ready to go, we are ready to add the piece to the card. So let me show you how to do this. Here's the card that I'm working on. Obviously, this is the front because we have the designer series paper on the front. This is the inside. So I'm checking to make sure I know that this is the top of my card. This is the bottom of my card. And where I'm going, here's my goal. I want to attach part of this bridge on the first panel. I want to attach the other side on the fourth panel. And I want to make sure that it's going to fold when everything is all said and done.
Laura, can I ask a question? Did you not do a white on your designer on that piece in the middle?
I decided on the second one, the one that I'm doing, that I did not include the white.
Oh, okay.
But
Gotcha.
either way, you're going to end up with a piece that is 5.5 inches wide, scored at
Okay.
2 3/4. So either way,
Gotcha.
I just wanted to
Gotcha.
show an option.
Gotcha.
Great
Gotcha.
question.
Gotcha.
Great question. So this is the goal. We want to have that attached like this. And we also want to make sure that when we fold it, that it really does fold in half. The way to do that is to attach one side first and only one side. So you might want to watch me do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through it, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to adhere this piece right here and then pretend that's adhered. I'm going to fold this over. I'm going to put a little glue here, and then I'm going to close this like it's just a regular card. And what's going to happen is both sides will be adhered. Okay, so let me do this for real. A couple of tips. When you are putting the glue on, put it on whatever side you're doing first. Do not put it on your bridge. Put it on the card. The reason is if you get glue in here rather than on the panel, you might glue the card together and you will not be happy. Don't get crazy about getting it exactly in the middle. It really, really doesn't matter. So this is the left panel, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue, not a lot. I don't need a lot right here. You can see where I put it right there. I'm going to take my bridge and I'm going to put it about halfway. And again, don't overthink this. It doesn't need to be exact. And I'm going to turn it and I'm going to do my best to have a parallel line here with the edge. And I'm just going to try to get that so that it looks like the edge of the green here is parallel with the edge of my card. If it's not exact, again, let it go. It's not going to hurt. Okay? And that's attached. So step number 2 is I'm then going to fold. I just moved it a little bit. Let me get it back. Okay. I'm going to fold my bridge and I'm going to put glue on the bridge. And I can see where I should and I should not put glue. Do not put it over where you can see the score line. That's going to be in an area where you might glue the card together. So I'm literally going to take a little bit of glue, put it right in here, and then pretend this is a card. So the second score line, you're going to take the entire back half and you're going to fold that down. And it's going to go where that glue area is. And I'm just burnishing it with my finger a little bit. And I'm actually going to turn it all the way over to the front and I'm going to burnish it a little bit more. And then when you open it up, you have your bridge. And it will stand. And it is decorated with whatever sentiment you put on. So that's the easiest way to do the bridge piece. And that's the wow factor. That's the, oh my goodness, that is so cool. And how in the world would anybody have been able to get it on this card so that it folds and it folds right in half without any issue? And that's the trick. It's not hard. Okay. All right, before we go into finishing decorations and all of that, let's do the belly band. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about some embellishments and some little fun things that you can do to finish off your card. But let's talk about the belly band. And I'm going to bring out the card that I've completed with the belly band. Belly bands and I have an interesting relationship. And I either love them or I don't love them. So a belly band. Belly bands are meant to keep the card together until they're taken off. They should not be so snug that you can't move them, but they should not be so loose that when you hold it straight up, you don't want it to fall down. So there's a happy medium. And I'm going to show you some tricks of how to find that happy medium. All right. So let's make a belly band that is like this. So what I need in order to do that, I'm going to start with a piece of, again, I'm using the shaded spruce. I want to have the card base and the belly band match. So I'm going to do that. This starts as a piece that is 11 inches long by 2 inches high. It's 11 inches because when you wrap it around, you need extra. You can't use 8.5. 8.5 will not work. So you're going to need to use a piece that's 11 inches. Just trust me on that. And you can get this from a regular old piece of A2 cardstock and just cut it at 2 inches on the 8.5-inch side. Then you're going to want to score this. And this is the tip that Kylie shared, and it's brilliant. This is scored at 4.25. So 11 inches long, scored at 4.25. And the reason it's scored at 4.25 is because the width of the card is 4.25. So it's going to give you a great start on one side of your belly band. So score it at 4.25 and then burnish it at 4.25. And give it a good burnish. The beauty about a belly band is when you make it the first time, it doesn't matter if you're putting it on the front of the card, the back of the card, it doesn't matter because we're going to take it off. What we're doing right now is just trying to get it to fit okay. So if you're looking at the front of your card, the back of your card, don't worry. Just slide your card into that belly band. And you're going to notice that it's not going to go all the way over. This front is not going to go all the way over to the edge. Well, it won't because there's bulk. So it needs more than 4.25. But I've got one side of my belly band already done. And it's going to line up because I scored it and I burnished it. So then on the other side, and you might want to watch me for just a second, you're going to gently bend the paper over. Don't be afraid of it. Just bend it over. And you want to have a little bit of an area where you can see the paper. You don't want to squish it so much because then you're not going to be able to move it. And then what I suggest is if you have any Scotch tape or washi tape, and I'm sorry, I should have mentioned this, if you have Scotch tape or something that you can just fasten it down for a second. Tape is great because if it's not where you want it, you can move it later. But I'm just putting the tape where the overlap is. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this. And it should be a little hard to move, but not hard. And this is pretty okay. I can move that. And what I'm going to do before I commit to this is I've got that so that it's taped down. I'm going to burnish this. I'm going to burnish the piece the side that I gently folded over. And when it's burnished, I'm going to test this. And it's good. It's moving and it's not falling down when I stand it up. So I'm pretty happy with where that is. And if you're not, you can, take the tape off and you can move the paper to where it is working well for you. When you get your belly band to the point where it's working well, and here's my other tip, don't put it together like this. Don't put it together so you see the seam in the middle. That's just not pretty. So lift up that flap, lift up the larger flap. And what you want to do is you want to adhere it so that that larger piece goes almost all the way over to the other side. It just looks so much better. And in order to do that, this is the piece that I just burnished. I'm going to put glue on here. I'm not going to go all the way to the edge because I know that that other piece is not going to go all the way to the edge. And I'm just going to, if I can get some glue, put some glue on here and then lay the other side down. And I am going to try to get the sides to be aligned just so it looks kind of nice. And there I have my belly band. It's backwards because I'm going to have that seam, if you want to call it a seam, I'm going to put that in the back. And right now it's at the front of the card. It doesn't matter because I will be able to take it off and put it on the other side. So now I can see, oh my, I can actually move that. And it's not moving. It is not falling. It looks fine. So I'm going to take that off and I'm just going to bring it around to the other side. And there I've got my belly band. For me, I decided that I wanted to continue the theme of designer series paper in the same sort of combinations that I have been using. And I decided to put a piece that is from the designer series paper that I used inside on the belly band. And I could have sworn, maybe I didn't cut it, which is fine. I will go ahead and cut another piece with you, but I'm going to use this pattern to decorate the center of my belly band. Again, I'm kind of giving homage to the different patterns that I have on the card. And for that piece, the measurement is, let's see, 4 inches wide, 4 inches wide by 1 5/8 inch high. So since I did not cut a piece, and I thought I had, I will go ahead and do that right now. So I'm going to use this paper. Let me grab my trimmer. So 4 inches wide by, I think it was 1 5/8. Let me make sure before hopefully I don't lie to you. Yeah, 4 inches by 1 5/8. And, you can check and see if there's a particular way the pattern is going and you want to use that, or if there's part of the pattern that you want to show on the belly band, make sure that you incorporate that. All right, so there's my piece. I'm going to go ahead and put that directly in the center. So you can tell this is not a difficult card. It is just knowing kind of what order and some little tricks along the way. The sentiment that I'm going to use is actually from a new kit. The kit is called Calm and Bright, and today is October 19th. The kit, unfortunately, at this particular moment in time is not available. It has been so popular, and I am really hoping that it will come back. It's all about Christmas. It's very, very, very cute. But for me, what I did is I wanted to, again, bring in a little bit more of the green. So I used some dies. I haven't used these very much, but I can tell I'm going to. They are super cool. They are called Sentimental Framing Dies, and they have the neatest patterns. They've got swirls and stitches, and they're just super, super fun. And I used this square. So I cut out a basic white from this die, and I stamped the sentiment "Sending Joy," which is part of the new kit. So whatever die you have, or you can cut something in a shape and you can add that to the front. And then I chose to put, and I stamped the sentiment in cherry cobbler. And then I wanted to outline the sentiment, just like the belly band and other pieces are outlined. So I cut a square. This is 1.5 inch square, and it fits just around the sentiment. Before I add the sentiment, let me just show you a couple things that I used on the example card, and I will put it together. I am in love with another die set. I really love dies. I think they are so useful. And this die set is all about tags. It's called Pattern Tags Dies. They're awesome. There are some really, really, really fun tags that can be made. This is what the dies look like. There are 4 larger pieces. And the dies that I use, I'm going to pop these out. I used this die, and I'll show you how I use that in just a minute. And I also used the bow die. So the tag die is one that when it cuts, it is going to leave an outline of the tag. You can use the solid tag and then get a companion that you can put behind and just make a very cute little Christmas tag. But what is super, super cool is when you cut that die, you get all these pieces. I cut it from old olive, and I got all these fun evergreen pieces that I can now use to decorate other projects. Very fun. And that's what I did. That's what these little pieces of evergreen are from. I also used this die, which is a 3-piece bow, and I cut out the bow pieces from cherry cobbler, and I'm going to use them to decorate. And on the sample card, I decorated the outside, and I also decorated the inside. You'll remember that when I said decorating the inside of this, if you keep the decorations flat, think about it, you're going to be folding this in half. So you really need to have flat decorations, and you need to be mindful about where you put them. You need to keep decorations on either one side or the other. So again, when things fold flat, they are not going to get bent. So I'm going to just, as I'm chatting and as we are all chatting, put this together, kind of using the same process as I did on my other card. So for this one, I decided I was going to add some of the evergreen under the sentiment piece before I attach the sentiment to the green piece. And you can do that in a number of different ways. I decided the easiest way was to make a little pool of glue. And I'm just going to dab. If I can get the glue to come out. There we go. I'm just going to dab the glue. I'm dabbing it on the front. And I will attach that on the back. But there's so many different ways that you can design it. I didn't want any of the green to show through these little holes, the old olive. So I'm purposely kind of putting them off to the side. And I'll just add a couple of these. I'm not going to go crazy, these little guys. But so many ways to do this. And while I'm doing this, how's everybody doing? Does anybody have any questions or Problems?
I had a problem with the inside that folded.
Okay.
Can, can you show me again how you glued that second half piece
Yeah. Give me 2 seconds here and I'll be happy to do that.
when you have a break?
Yep, absolutely. So there are my little pieces. So yeah, if you kind of imagine with me, you're going to glue the first half on your left side
Okay, you glue that part, the first part.
and then fold the bridge. This isn't attached yet, so you're going to fold that in half.
Okay, wait, what way did you fold it to glue
Well,
it?
you're going to, if this piece is attached, this piece would be open and you're just going to fold the bridge piece right in half. This piece would not be attached, so it's going to fold over the top.
That's what I did, and it didn't stay glued
And
when
then
I
if
tried
you
to fold it.
fold it. Let me finish this up and then Tracy, we will take a look at that and we'll figure it out.
Okay,
Okay?
I'm the problem child.
You are not a problem child. We are gonna look at it and make sure that you got it because I want to make sure that you are happy with this and that you're able to do
And the
some more
piece
of
going
these.
across, the piece going across the base card, what was the length?
5.5. Five and a
Okay,
half. Yep.
okay,
We're gonna make it work.
okay,
So I'm just putting these two pieces together and then I'm going to grab some dimensionals, but you do what
okay.
you want. And again, I'm decorating the belly band right now. And I always use too many dimensionals, but I guess better to use too many than too few. And then I'll put we'll put the bow together. I'm going to show you a trick on putting that bow together.
Laurie,
Yeah,
what was the name of the die set again that you used for that piece you're holding?
for the white piece,
Uh-huh.
it is called Sentimental Framing Dies.
Okay. Thank you.
You are welcome. It is super, super fun. So I'm just pulling this down a little bit just so I can see it. So I tried to get that pretty much in the center. And then I'm going to put my bow down here on the bottom right. And obviously I'm just copying what I did before. This bow is really, really fun. And I do not get along with glue dots. If you like glue dots, use glue dots. You will be, I'm sure, happy. Glue dots and I do not have a good working relationship. So I am opting to use just a little bit of Tombow. And I started by putting the big piece on the bow first. I love this bow because it is simple, it is flat, because it is a die. I can make it any color I want, or I could go nuts and I could make each layer a different color, or maybe the top and the bottom layer the same and the one in the middle different. It's just really cool. Now, the only challenging part of this is the little piece, which is the middle. It's that one right there. In order to make that work, there are a couple of things you can do. You can get tweezers. You can also use take your pick tool and the end that has the putty. So I am going to use the putty piece and I'm going to pick up that little piece of paper. I'm going to put it into the glue and dab off some of that glue. And then I'm just going to do my best to get it in the middle. And I love the take your pick tool. It is so useful. And I was able to get that in the middle. Just gonna scoot it a little bit. It's kind of hard to see this on camera, but it is the prettiest bow. It is just absolutely stunning. And then to finish off the outside, because we need a little bling, I'm going to use a few of the new traditional sparkling dies, sequins, my apologies. They're really pretty and they really add just a little fun to this overall card. And I'm kind of cheating because I can see what I did on the first card. So I'm going to mimic it. I wanted to put something behind the die cut because it's a little hard to see. There's a lot going on behind it. And when I added that sequin and I put it right behind where the die cut is, you really notice the die cut. And by noticing one of them, you notice all of them. So that's a neat little trick as well, you know, to just have something that's sort of sparkly behind some smaller pieces, and you're going to be able to see it. So now there's my belly band, and that looks just so festive, so fun and so festive. So quickly, I'm going to kind of mimic a little bit on the inside. Let me go ahead and get my bow out of the way. I'm going to put that down in the bottom right again. And I've got another one already cut out. What I also found, you might have noticed, is when you have little pieces of die cut like I do, a Post-it note can be really handy because I just put the pieces onto the tacky end of my Post-it note. And that way I knew that I had everything together and I didn't have to worry about it. When you're decorating the inside, make sure that anything you have is not going to get bent when you fold things. That's my one tip. And I tend to stay to the edges on the design so that I won't get into trouble. It's very easy to add something that has a little more bulk than you might want, and then you're going to have an issue getting things to work for you. So I'm just going to add my little bow here, doing the same thing. Pick up my little piece, make sure this one's backwards. So turn that over, grab a little bit of glue. A little bit of glue, come on. I don't think I used it all up. There we go. And then I'll stick that right in the middle. All right. And then for the bow pieces in the middle, I'm going to put them behind the bridge, but I'm going to make sure again that when I do that, that they're not going to bend. So I just need to be incredibly mindful when I'm adding these that they're going to actually work. And that one would, you know, stuck down like that. So just make sure that when you're putting the pieces in the middle, that you're putting them in a spot where they're not going to get damaged. And we are just about done with this card as well. And some paper that you would use, you probably wouldn't have to add a whole heck of a lot of extra. You could probably really just use the designer series paper, maybe a couple of little pieces of bling, and you would be all set. Some of the little evergreen pieces that come out of the dies are kind of wonky in terms of the way that the branch is shaped. So I just grabbed snips and I took off where I didn't want, and I'm going to use the excess and tuck that in as well. And let's see, put a little bit kind of up here. And I'm just going to add one more sprig, and then I'm going to say that I'm done. The other thing when you're putting the pieces on, make sure that you're not adding a lot of glue. This one that I just put on when I fold the card is going to be right next to the second rather than the first piece. I don't want to have a lot of glue at all on there because I could end up attaching my card where I don't want to. And this one looks a little wackadoodle, so cut that one off as well. And then I'll add a little bling and I will be all done. But I hope as we've been making this and as you've seen, the steps are not hard at all. So when you see some of these cards that look like they could be challenging and complicated, you know, take a chance and try them out. I think you will find that all in all, the cards that look complicated really aren't. There are some that are. There are some that go into, I think, more engineering than card making, but typically they're pretty straightforward. And again, I'm purposely putting some bling right behind where I have the pieces. And on this one, I'm going to look at where that piece of evergreen is, and I'm going to try to put something in the back panel that will be seen and will also show that design. So that's going to highlight that as well. All right. So that is the Fun Fold kind of bridge card, I guess you could call it. Excuse me, with the belly band. And these are two completely different cards, obviously using pretty much the same design and the same designer series paper. I hope that you do try this and share it. They will fit into a regular A2 envelope without any problem. And they really are, I think, a wow factor without having a whole heck of a lot of work involved in putting them together. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you will make one if you haven't. I'm just going to stop the recording in a second and then, Tracy, we will take a look at the middle of
No,
your...
I'm okay. I got it.
Oh, yay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will do this again soon with another card.
Okay. Thank you.